Hello friends, welcome to Misty Moon Designs. Welcome to the wonderful world of jewelry making. And boy, do I have a treat for you today. If you like to make lots and lots of jewelry from one box, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to make 4 necklaces, 2 bracelets, and 3 pairs of earrings. And we're going to be using the beads that came in Didi's Deluxe bead box for the month of December. Now, if you're not familiar with that box, I'll leave some information down below, along with a link to the website and a coupon code in case you're interested. As you can see, this jewelry is definitely winter themed. It features beads that are white and clear with a little touch of gold. And whether you like short necklaces or long necklaces, dainty pieces, or pieces that have more beaded components, there's something here for everybody. You can make them for yourself or give them away as gifts. Whatever the case may be, these pieces are perfect for winter time. And don't forget that I always model my pieces at the end of my videos, so please stick around for that. And I can't wait to show you how to make them, so let's go ahead and get started. And here we have Didi's Deluxe bead box for the month of December 2024. The name of this box is Winter Snowfall. And I did do an unboxing video. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it down below. As you can see, this collection was absolutely gorgeous. It contained crystal beads as well as gemstones. There was a strand of druzy agate beads, another strand of natural white moonstone, some jade cylinders, and another strand of tiny hematite rondelles. Of course, I couldn't use every single thing in this box, but I did use quite a bit. I just sat down one afternoon and started creating. It's easy to create with Didi's Deluxe bead boxes because they always have such gorgeous beads. But anyway, we have a lot of jewelry to make today, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to work on the first necklace. So let's go over the materials for that. Here are the beads for this first necklace. This necklace is going to be short and sweet, literally. I'm thinking maybe around 15 inches long, something like that. These are called Trapezoid glass beads, and they're clear as you can see, and they have an AB finish. They measure 9 by 6 millimeters, and there's only 25 beads there. That's what came in the strand. So what I'm going to do is make up the difference by using chain. So the bottom part of the necklace will have these beads, and then the rest of the necklace will have chain all the way to the clasp. I will be stringing on some seed beads in between the trapezoids, and I'm going to be using Toho rounds. These are size 11-0, and the color is Galvanized Starlight. Let me go ahead and put some down. I'm not going to need too many. Here's the chain that I'm going to be using. I think these links measure 3.5 millimeters across, and then maybe 5 millimeters long. It's cable chain, and these are flat ovals, and it's actually 18 karat gold plated, which is nice. And here's the beading wire I'm going to be using. It's 49 strand beading wire, and I chose bright because I think it's going to go well with the crystals. And this beading wire is 0.018 of an inch thick, or 0.46 millimeters. And of course, we'll be needing crimp tubes, wire guardians, crimp covers, jump rings, a clasp, and an extended chain as well. But I'll bring those out later on when we get ready to use them. Now, normally I'd use my bead arranging rod to determine how long this piece is going to be with these beads. But today, I'm going to show you a different way to do it for those of you who don't have the magic rods. And also in this case, it's not critical to know the length because I'll be finishing the necklace with chain. Normally, if I need to know exactly how much beading wire to cut, I prefer to use the rods. That way I can get accurate measurements. I'm going to work directly from the spool. So let me just remove this. And I'm going to unwind a length and put this back on. And now I'm ready to string my beads. I'm going to start with the trapezoid. And now a seed bead. Another trapezoid. And I do have to figure out which way they should go. Let me just take a look. I'm not sure if it really matters because they'll spin around like that. Let me just unstring this one and string it this way. See if that makes any difference. And I think it does. One end of the bead is wide and the other end is more narrow. So I'm going to alternate. So let me string on a seed bead. And now a trapezoid with the narrow end first. The seed bead, the trapezoid, and this time with the white end in first, like that. Let's take a look. I think it looks pretty good. What do you think? It looks kind of random. So let me keep stringing these and I'll meet you back. Okay, as you can see, I strung on all the beads and I did measure it. It measures 8.5 inches. We're going to finish the necklace with chain. So now I'm going to cut the beading wire from the spool. As you can see, I still have it on the spool. I'm going to use a clip on this end so I don't lose the beads. And you do need 2 inches at each end to do the crimping. So I'm going to snip it off here. Here I have 2 crimp tubes, 2 wire guardians, and 2 crimp covers. I really like those crimp covers. They're 18 karat gold plated and they're corrugated. What I have found is that when you use corrugated crimp covers, you don't see the seam as much once they're closed. So let's go ahead and crimp off this end. I'm going to slide on a crimp tube. And now a wire guardian. Let's see if I can do it this way. So there it is, down one side. And now I'm going to slide the tail through this end. Like that. And now through the crimp bead, or the crimp tube. Take out the slack. I like to close the legs of the wire guardian a little bit. You want to hold it like this to make sure the 2 pieces are separated inside that crimp tube. And now using these crimping pliers, I'm going to place the crimp tube in the first notch, which is the notch that creates the U shape. And I'm going to go ahead and squeeze. Turn it sideways. And now if you'll notice there are 3 notches up front. I like to use the one in the middle, the second one. So I'm going to place it in there sideways like this. And squeeze, and that folds that crimp tube over. And then I like to use the tip to tighten it up a little bit. And that's basically it. Let me go ahead and cut off the tail. And I left a little bit there, unfortunately. So let me see if I can get it. I do have to be careful because I don't want to cut the rest of the beading wire. Let me just turn it this way. That way I have better access. These things happen, guys. What can I say? That's better. So that's what we have. And now we're going to slide on a crimp cover. Just like that. To close my crimp covers, I like to use these crimping pliers. Let me just pull the wire guardian out. I definitely don't want that inside that crimp cover. I like to go around the whole crimp cover to make sure it's nice and round. And that's as good as it's going to get. So now I'm going to slide my beads down. And I'm going to crimp off this end now. And this one doesn't want to go in for some reason. Let me just pick it up. It's probably easier that way. So I'm going in one end. So there it goes. And now I'm going to go in through this end. Like that. And now through the crimp tube. Let me just pull it down a little bit. And now I'm going to go through the crimp tube. in the trapezoid bead and pull. Take out the slack. Make sure it's fluid, you don't want it too stiff. And you also want to make sure you have room there for the crimp cover. Now it's more difficult to know if the beading wire is separated because obviously I'm not able to separate them with my fingers like this, like I did on the other end. But I think it should be okay. So let me go ahead and squeeze. Turn it sideways. Place it in that second notch. Make sure the wire guardian is not involved. And squeeze. And let me tighten it up. I forgot to close these little legs a little bit. It's never too late. And now the crimp cover. Like that. And let me close it. So that's done. And now I'm going to cut off the tail. I'll try to get in there real close this time. So this part's done. And now we just need to attach the chain. And since I know how long this piece is, I was able to determine how long my chain needs to be. And don't forget that the jump rings and the clasp are going to add to the overall length. Here's my chain. Here are 2 jump rings. They measure 4 millimeters in size. Let me go ahead and open one of them. Slide the chain into it. And slide the wire guardian into it as well. Close up the jump ring. These jump rings are 18 karat gold plated as well. I try to use 18 karat gold plated if I can help it. Sometimes it's not possible. Let me go ahead and open up this jump ring. Slide the chain into it. And now this end. And close up my jump ring. I like to flatten the jump ring right where the cut is to make sure it's closed. So that's done. So now we just need the clasp and the extended chain. Here's my extended chain. Here's the clasp and 2 jump rings. They're both 4 millimeters in size. Now to embellish the extended chain, I'm going to use one of the beads that came in the box. Here it is. It's a tiny rondelle. It measures 4 millimeters in size, and the strand actually had a mix of colors. This one's just plain and it's clear, as you can see. I'm going to grab the pin with my round nose pliers right above the bead, bend it, switch to this part of the pin, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. Let me open up this loop a little bit. And now I'm going to slide my extended chain into it. Like that. I'm going to grab it with my crimping pliers because I love the tips on these pliers. They're nice and thin and they grab really well. And now with these, I'm going to grab the tail and I'm going to do a couple of wraps. Using flush cutters, I'm going to cut off the excess. Now this extended chain is a little bit too long for my liking, so I'm going to snip off a few lengths. That's better. Let me grab one of these jump rings. Open it up. Slide the extended chain into it. Slide the chain into it as well. Close it. And now this one. Slide the clasp into it. And the other end of the necklace into it as well. Well, I don't know what happened, but my camera actually stopped filming right near the end as I was connecting the chain. I think my phone got overheated, plus the battery was low, and it just decided to shut off for some reason. But anyway, I think you get the idea. And by the way, I did swap out this jump ring. Initially, I used the 4mm jump ring, but I should have actually used a larger one, and this one's actually 5mm. I have no idea why I did that. You would think with as much experience as I have that I wouldn't forget that. But anyway, I like to use a large jump ring where the extended chain is because it's easier to attach a lobster clasp to it. So anyway, guys, here's my beautiful necklace. And don't you love it? I think it's adorable. I love the shape of these beads and how the light reflects off the facets. And I like that I have the option of wearing it longer if I want to, thanks to the extended chain. So now we're going to move on to the second necklace. Let me get the materials for that. Here are the beads for this necklace. And how do you like my sunshine? My work table is right by the window, and I absolutely love it when the sunshine comes through. It puts me in a good mood. But anyway, guys, I figured out why my phone turned off. I have two phones. I use one for filming, and I use the other one for everything else. And the one that I use for filming is an iPhone 13 Pro, which has 1 terabyte of storage. But believe it or not, I had used up all the storage, and that's why it turned off. It wouldn't let me film any further. So I had to go in and delete a bunch of old files that I didn't need. So hopefully that won't happen again. But anyway, let me go over these beads with you. These are tiny rondelles, and they measure 4mm across. It's actually a mix of colors, as you can see. It's called a Winter Snowfall Crystal Mix. Let me show you. I think there are at least 4 colors. There are clear beads. There are ones with a little bit of gold, as you can see, frosted ones, and some other transparent ones with a little bit of a smoky effect. I think they're so pretty. Now, I'm not going to use all of these beads for this necklace. I'm only going to use probably this one and this one. Let me show you. This necklace is going to be a dainty necklace, so I don't want the pendant to be very big. I may just use this one alone. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about it. And for this one, I'm going to do wrap loops because I'll be using 24 gauge wire, and 24 gauge wire is pretty thin. I have done simple loops before, but I don't recommend it, especially if you're giving the necklace away as a gift. So here it is. This is 24 gauge. And it's in a gold color, as you can see. Of course, I'll be needing some jump rings, a lobster clasp, and an extended chain as well, but I'll bring those out later on. So let me show you how to do this. Let me put this away for the time being. This is super easy, guys, it really is. Here I have a 2.5-inch piece of wire. Using my round nose pliers, I'm gonna grab the wire at about a little bit more than a third way down, bend it, switch to this part of the wire. And at this point, you need to decide how big you want your loops. And I don't want my loops to be too big for this necklace, so I'm going to slide it down towards the tip a little bit like this. Wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. So now I have a little loop. I'm going to grab it with these pliers, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in that little tail. Slide on a bead, like so. Grab the wire with my round nose pliers, like this. Bend it. Switch to this part of the pliers, and also I'm grabbing this side of the wire. So in other words, I went from being here like this to being here. And you want to make sure that you keep the wire on the exact same spot as before. And now I'm going to wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. I'm going to grab the loop, grab the tail, and do a couple of wraps. It's hard to grab these because they're so small. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess. Tuck in that little end. And there's my first beaded component. Super, super tiny. But that's what you want for a dainty necklace. Let me see if I can fix this loop though. It wasn't exactly straight. That's the other thing too. You want to make sure your loops are lined up. So let me do that. That looks pretty good. So the first one, you're going to go ahead and close it with wraps. The second one's going to be a little bit different. I have another piece of wire here. I'm going to grab it a little bit more than a third way down, just like before. Bend it, switch to this part of the wire, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back. And this time I'm going to open up the loop just a little bit, slide this component into it, like that, grab the loop, grab the tail, and do my wraps. Cut off the excess. Let me see where the end is. It's right there. I'm going to tuck it in. And now I'm going to grab another bead. And there's no bead pattern, by the way. It's going to be completely random. So let me grab a frosted one, I think. Once again, I'm grabbing the wire right above the bead. Let me line up the loop like this, bend it, switch to this part of the wire, wrap the tail around the nose, flip the pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, grab the loop, grab the tail, and do my wraps. Line up my loops. Snip off the excess. Tuck in that little end. So now I have two components connected, and that's all there is to it. It's really, really simple, guys. It really is. It does take practice if you're new. I know it's difficult to master wrap loops, but the more you do it, the easier it gets, I promise you. So I'm going to keep connecting my beads just like that, one after the other, picking up random colors, and I'll keep doing it until I get the length that I want. I'm going to create 3 strands, one long strand, which will be around 16.5 inches, something like that, and then 2 shorter ones. Each one will be 9 inches. I'll have to figure that out as I go along. So let me go ahead and do this off camera because it's going to take a while, and I'll see you when I get back. Okay, I'm back, and I finished creating my strands. These 2 measure 9 inches each, and this one measures 16.5 inches. Now once I connect everything, I'm going to have to see how everything drapes. I may have to make some adjustments. And I've decided that I'm going to use this bead for the pendant, this one right here, the coin bead. So let me go ahead and remove it from the strand. Here it is. Now I'm going to connect everything to this closed jump ring. You can use a regular jump ring if you want to. I just thought I'd use this one instead because I had them on hand. And I believe this one measures 6.5 millimeters across, something like that. And then I have 2 4mm jump rings as well. Here I have a ball head pin. I'm going to go ahead and slide my bead onto it, like that. I'm going to grab the pin at the top of the bead, bend it, switch to this part, and I'm going to make the loop a little bit bigger now. So I'm moving the pin further down the nose of my pliers, as you can see. Let me wrap it around, flip my pliers around, continue to wrap to the back, and I'm going to open it, insert the ring into it, let's see if it'll go in. There it goes. And that's what we have so far. I'm going to grab that loop with my pliers, just like I did before. Grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess pen. And of course, I need to tuck that little tail in. So this part's done. Let me open up one of these jump rings. Slide the pendant into it, like this. And now I'm going to slide one of these short strands into it. And now this one. Actually, I'm going to connect that one with another jump ring. So let me close this jump ring up. Let me flatten it to make sure it's closed. So that's connected. And now I'm going to open up this one. Slide it into this closed ring, and now the other strand. Close it up. That looks really nice. I love that coin pendant. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of a different technique today as far as the clasp goes. This is actually a magnetic clasp and it slides just like that. It's pretty neat. And what this allows you to do is to connect a couple of strands. I'm sure some of you have seen this type of thing before. Now what I did do is I grabbed a couple of jump rings from this one right here. This one actually connects 3, but I wanted the same kind of jump ring on this side as I have on this other side, if that makes sense. I also took some of the clasps from this one as well. And here they are. I have 2 clasps. I have 2 6mm jump rings and 2 4mm jump rings. And I love this method because it allows you to wear each one separately or together, like a double strand necklace. So let me go ahead and open up one of these small ones. Whenever you get these kind of jump rings where it's hard to find where the cut is, that usually means it's a good quality jump ring. Let me go ahead and slide on one of the clasps. And now this end of the strand. Close it up. This is the longest strand. And now on the other end, I'm going to attach a jump ring, a small jump ring. And a large jump ring. And the strand. And close it up. So this is one finished necklace, and you can hook it up like you normally would. And I actually need 2 more small jump rings, so here they are. Let me go ahead and open one up. Slide this clasp into it. And connect this end of the necklace. And now let me open up this one. Boy, I tell you, these are really good quality jump rings. It's hard to see where the cut is. Slide the large jump ring into it. And slide this end of the necklace into it as well. and close it up. So this is one complete necklace as well. And now what I can do is connect the clasp, the lobster clasp, to the magnetic clasp, like that. Same thing with this one. I'm going to connect it to this other jump ring, like that. So now both of these are connected. And I have two clasps at this end that I can connect these jump rings to. So let me see if I can do this. I need to untangle everything. So this one's going to go into this lobster clasp. Let me see if I can open it. Like that. And this one, the bottom strand will connect to this lobster clasp. Just like that. And that's what you end up with. You end up with a double strand necklace that you can separate if you want to. It's a very nifty kind of system, and it definitely gives you a lot of options. And then of course, this necklace goes beautifully as well. And I do want to put these on at the end of the tutorial to show you the entire set. So please stick around till the end. But before I do that, we're going to make a couple of more necklaces. So let me get the materials for the next necklace. Here are the materials for this necklace. And it's going to be very simple, guys. Sometimes when you put together a layered necklace set, it's good to have a little variation. And in this case, we have the beaded choker necklace and then the dainty multi-strand. And this would be the third layer, which is more on the simple side. And the fourth necklace is going to have beads that are a little bit larger. So that's a nice balance. Plus it gives you choices. You can dress up, you can dress down. You can wear a single necklace depending on the occasion. But anyway, let me go over these materials. This is the same chain that we used in the first necklace, the choker length necklace. And like I said before, the links measure 3.5 by 4.5 or 5 millimeters, and it's cable chain. And here we have a snowflake pendant. The dimensions aren't listed, so let me see if I can find out. It measures 28.7 if you include the loop, and without the loop, it measures 25.7. And here I have a lobster clasp, a 6 millimeter jump ring, a 5 millimeter jump ring, and 2 4 millimeter jump rings. If you ever need a necklace that's quick and easy, this one is definitely it. Let's go ahead and attach the clasp first. I'm going to slide it into the jump ring, like that. And now one end of the chain. These links are quite chunky, so hopefully it'll fit. I probably should have opened it a little bit more, but there it goes. And now I'm going to close it. And now let me open up this large jump ring. Slide the pendant into it. Let me open it a little bit more to make things easy. That's better. Close it up. And now I'm going to slide this end of the chain into the jump ring like this. me open up this small jump ring. I probably don't need a small jump ring, but since we put one at this end, I wanted it to be balanced. Let me open it. I'm going to slide the large jump ring into it. And now the chain. And close it up. These little jump rings are pretty tough as well. So this necklace is done. Isn't it cute, guys? It really is. Now let me talk about the length of chain you'll need. I forgot to do that. You definitely want this necklace to be longer than the double strand that we made. And the double strand measures 22.5 inches if you include the pendant and the clasp and the jump rings. So obviously this one needs to be longer. And this piece of chain measures 24 inches. And if you include the jump rings and clasp, it's probably more like 25 inches. But the best thing to do is to take both necklaces to the mirror to see how they drape. Of course, you want to start with a longer piece of chain to begin with, so that if you have to remove links, you can do it. But anyway, I'm pretty happy with this necklace. So now let's go ahead and move on to the last necklace. Here are the materials for the fourth necklace. It's actually technically the fifth, because the double strand can be separated like I showed you earlier. But anyway, since these beads are bigger, we're going to do a different technique. We're going to use thicker gauge wire and we're going to do simple loops. Of course, if you wanted to do wrap loops, you could. I would recommend 22 gauge for that. So all of these are going to have simple loops, and then we'll connect them to these components with jump rings. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want the necklace to have movement or flow. So let me go over the sizes with you. These are natural white moonstone beads and they measure 6 millimeters in size. And these are glass beads and they're called nuggets. They're opaque with an AB finish and they're faceted and they measure 7 by 4 millimeters. These are called checkered faceted crystal beads. They're also opaque with an AB finish and they measure 8 millimeters in size. And these very interesting links or connectors are simply called twisted bar connectors. And they measure 20 millimeters from loop to loop. Now these two focal beads came from the designer strand. The measurements weren't listed, so let me find out. This one measures 20 millimeters. And this one measures about 14 millimeters. I must be running out of batteries, that's why it's flashing. So anyway, the first thing we're going to do is to mount these on wire. Let me just put these off to the side for the time being. And these beads as well. I'm going to use 20 gauge wire, and this one's in a gold color. I've cut myself a 1.5 inch piece of wire. Using my pliers, I'm going to grab it at about 3/8 of an inch down, bend it like that, and now with my round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the end, making sure it's flush with my barrels, and I'm going to form a loop. Just like that. Let me straighten it. You want it centered on the post, like that. I'm going to slide on one of these beads. Grab the wire right above the bead. Make sure the bottom loop is lined up. Bend it. Snip off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end. Make sure it's flush and form a loop. Make sure your loop is closed well, and it's a good idea to line up your loops. These look like they're lined up. I'm going to do it anyway. So this is my first beaded component. It's pretty simple, guys. I know I keep saying that, but it really is. Like I said before, the more you do it, the easier it gets. I know the difficult part is figuring out where to bend the wire and then what part of your pliers you need to put it on. That also comes with practice, but there are ways to do it by marking your pliers so you end up with the same size loops each time. But anyway, let me go ahead and bend my wire 3/8 of an inch down. Grab it, make sure it's flush, form a loop, make sure it's closed. I'm going to slide on one of these beads now. Grab the wire again, line up the bottom loop, bend it, cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch. Grab the end, and form a loop. Let me line up my loops. So this is my second beaded component. And that's how I'm going to do all of them, including these. So let me go ahead and create some more beaded components off camera, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to connect them. I'll also connect those twisted bar links. So I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, I'm back and I've created all my beaded components, and some of these are actually connected to each other already. I thought I would do it ahead of time, but let me show you the bead sequence. I'm going to have 5 beaded components connected together, and that's what's in here. I have a bunch of segments with 5 beaded components per segment, and then in between the segments I'm going to connect one of these twisted bars. But this is what I want the segments to have: a 6mm, a nugget, an 8mm, a nugget, and a 6mm. And that's what I have over here. As you can see, there's a total of 7 and I need 8. So let me go ahead and show you how to connect these, and that'll be my 8th one. It's very simple. I'm simply going to open up this loop, connect the next beaded component, close it, and now I'm going to open up this loop, connect the next one, and close it. Let me keep going. So they're all connected now. And now let me show you what I had in mind. I'm going to have a pendant here, and then I'm going to have one of these twisted bars connected to the pendant, and then one of these segments, and then another twisted bar, and another segment, another twisted bar, and it's probably hard for you to see. Let me move it down. I'm probably not going to fit the whole thing in because this is going to be a pretty long necklace. So that's 1, 2, and I'll have 2 more segments this way. So that'll be one side of the necklace, and the other side of the necklace will have the same exact thing. So 4 beaded segments with twisted bars in between, and that's basically it. It doesn't get any easier than that. Here's some jump rings. These are 4mm in size. Initially I thought they were 19 gauge, but they're actually 20 gauge. I just looked at the package. So let me pick one up, and I'll go ahead and open it. Slide the twisted bar into it. And now this segment, this beaded segment, and close it up. Now I do need to decide how to connect these because, as you can see, they're twisted a certain way. So let me see. The left side of this one has the bump on the top and the right side has the bump on the bottom. So maybe the next one should be the opposite. Like this. I'm not sure. I guess you could have it going the same way. It really doesn't matter. Actually, I think I like that better. Another thing I wanted to mention, guys, when you have an odd number of beaded components like that, that's the ideal if you want things to sit properly. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you'll notice, the twisted bar is parallel to my mat, but the jump ring is vertical. So obviously the first beaded component is parallel to my mat. The next one's vertical, parallel, vertical, parallel, and that's what you want. Whatever you connect to the jump rings has to be parallel. If I'd had an even number, this component would have been vertical, which wouldn't connect well with the jump ring because the jump ring would be parallel, and then this twisted bar would end up like this. I hope that makes sense. I know I've talked about it many times in my videos. So anyway, I'm going to keep connecting these until I get 2 strands, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've connected everything, and I know you can't see the whole thing because the strands are so long, but at least you can see the configuration. So now we're going to connect the pendant, and I've already connected the focals. As you can see, both of them have simple loops, but I am going to add one more bead to the bottom. I'm going to add one of these. This is the 8mm checkered faceted crystal. I'm going to grab it with my round nose pliers like this, bend it, switch to this part of the pin, wrap the tail around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around, and continue to wrap to the back. And by the way, this is a ball head pin, but you can use a flat head pin if you want to. It really doesn't matter. I just think the ball head pins are a little bit more decorative. And the reason I'm doing wrap loops is because my ball head pin is quite thin. I think it's about 24 gauge, maybe 22. I guess if you wanted to do a simple loop with 22 gauge, you could probably do it and it would be fine. So now I'm going to grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Cut off the excess. And tuck in that little tail, if you see one. Let me straighten this loop so it's sitting straight on the bead. So there's my little dangle. And now I'm going to open up one of these loops, this one right here. Slide the dangle into it and close it up. I love how this looks. It's really cute. So now we're going to connect the strands to the pendant, and I'm going to use one of my rings. I have a whole box of them here, as you can see. I'm going to use a larger one this time, and I got this on Amazon, by the way. As you can see, it comes in 3 colors, gold, silver, and bronze. I think if you type in links in the search engine on Amazon, you should be able to find them. And of course, I'm going to need some jump rings to connect the strands to the ring. Here's a 4mm jump ring. I've already opened it. Let me go ahead and slide it onto the ring first. Like that. And now, actually this end. I want the twisted bar near the pendant. Let me just make sure it's closed. So now I have this strand connected. Here's another jump ring. I'm going to slide the ring into it. And I'm going to slide the other strand into it as well. Whoops, I didn't need to do that. Let me try this again. And actually, I do need to pay attention to how I connect that twisted bar because I want it to mirror the other one. And I think it needs to go this way or this way. No, this way. Let me just close it and then I'll look. I think that's right. I can always change it if it's not right. It's not a big deal. Let's take a look. They need to mirror each other, and they do. That's kind of important, guys, okay? All right, so now we just need to connect the pendant. And this is super easy because I'm just going to open up this loop and slide the ring into it and close it. And that's it, guys. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? That is so pretty. I love it. So now we just need a lobster clasp. And this necklace is so long you really don't need one. But I'm going to go ahead and add a clasp. Here's a 4mm jump ring and a clasp. Here's another one, and I'm adding a 6mm jump ring to this end. So this necklace is finished, and I absolutely love the look of those twisted bar connectors. They're so beautiful. It breaks it up a little bit too, so it's not all beads. Sometimes having nothing but beads can be a little bit boring. So anyway, guys, I hope you like this necklace. I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm sure it's going to look great with the other necklaces. And actually, I haven't measured it. Let me just measure it and see how long it is. Each strand measures about 15 inches, so it's a 30-inch necklace, not counting the pendant. But anyway, at the end of this video, I'm going to arrange everything on my mat so you can see how everything coordinates. And of course, I'll model it for you, so please stick around for that. So now we're going to move on to the bracelets. Let me get the materials for that. As you can see, I've already connected the beads for this bracelet. It's the same method that I used for the previous necklace. I did simple loops on all of these. And these are the 6mm white moonstone beads, natural white moonstone. There's a total of 13 beads, and this bracelet measures 6.5 inches, which is perfect for me. I do have an extended chain at the end though, but it's a very short extended chain. I don't like long extended chains on bracelets. But anyway, if you wanted a 7-inch bracelet, you'd have to add another beaded component. And on this end, I connected the clasp with a 4mm jump ring, just like I did with the necklaces. Very simple. And here I have a little charm that I'm going to attach to the extended chain to embellish it. I'm going to use a 4mm jump ring. Isn't that cute? It's so cute. It's a little mitten, and it has pave crystals. Very pretty. I'm simply going to attach it to the extended chain like this and close it up. And by the way, I do have a 5mm jump ring attached to that beaded component, as you can see. And this is what it looks like. Very simple, but very attractive as well. I love it. It's really cute. I hope you like it as well. And I made a second one. This one right here. I used the same beads as I used for necklace number 2, and the same method as well. I did wrap loops, as you can see. And I attached a little charm to the extended chain as well, just like I did on this one. Let me show you what this one looks like. This one's actually very dainty looking. I love it. And both of these measure 6.5 inches. So if you wanted something longer, you could definitely do it, because I had plenty of beads left over. So now we're going to move on to the earrings. Let me get the materials for that. We're going to be making 3 pairs of earrings, and here are the materials for all 3. I actually made one of each kind, and I'm going to show you how to assemble the matching earring for each pair. Now this one's a little bit fiddly because of the chain, but I'm going to ask you to be a little patient while I connect the chain. And by the way, these earwire hooks are steel, but they're nickel free, so hopefully they won't affect people who are sensitive to metals. Of course, you could always use stainless steel or even 18 karat gold plated. So let's go ahead and start with this one. I'm going to create a loop, a simple loop. So I'm going to kink it right there. Grab it with my round nose pliers and form a loop. And now I'm going to insert the bead this way because it's easier. Just like that. Bend my wire. Cut off the excess, leaving 3/8 of an inch or so. Grab the end of the wire and form a loop. Make sure the loop is centered and closed. Let me go ahead and line up my loops. This one's a little bit tricky because of the shape of the bead. So it's connected now. Let me straighten this loop a little bit. So that's better. And now we're going to connect these 2 beaded components. And now I'm going to open up this loop and slide the chain pieces in. And I think these links measure 2 by 3 millimeters. They're pretty small, but you can use any kind of chain. So there's one. And you can have it any length as well. I think these are about an inch or so, something like that. But it's personal preference, guys. It's whatever you like. There's the second one. There's the third one. And the fourth one. And I'm just going to close the loop. So this one's done. I think it's adorable. I have an earwire hook. I'm just going to open up this loop. Slide in the earwire hook and close it back up. By the way, these two beads came in the designer strand, and I'm not sure of the measurements, but I think maybe this one's 12 millimeters, but I'm really not sure. So anyway, let's move on to this pair now. These are the 8mm checkered faceted crystals with the AB finish. Let me go ahead and mount this one on a ball head pin. I'm going to grab it right above the bead like this, bend it, switch to this part of the pin, wrap the pin around the nose of the pliers, flip the pliers around. I'm going to open up this loop, slide this twisted connector into it, like that. And now let me grab the loop with my skinny pliers, if I can get in there. Grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. Tuck in that little end. And now let me open up the loop of this component. Slide this connector into it. Close it. Here's another earwire hook. So this one's done. I really like that look with the two beads, one on each end. So now we're going to work on this one. These beads are actually clay. They're listed as sparkling white Indonesian clay beads, and they measure 18 millimeters across. And what's so cool about these is that they have bead caps already built in. As you can see, I've already mounted this one on a ball head pin, and I have simple loops on these two. This first one is a 6mm natural white moonstone bead. This is the 8mm checkered faceted crystal. And of course, this is the clay bead. This one's pretty straightforward to assemble. Just going to open up this loop, connect the next component into it, and now I'm going to open up this one and connect the clay bead. So now let me go ahead and open up this loop, slide my earwire hook into it, and close it. So now we have 3 very attractive pairs of earrings that are going to coordinate really nicely with the rest of the jewelry. I'm going to go ahead and get the necklaces and the bracelets and lay everything out so you can see the whole ensemble. So I'll be right back. So here's everything. And can you believe the amount of pieces we were able to make? It's a lot, it really is. And there's still plenty of beads left over. Look at that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 necklaces. Of course, that's if you separate these 2. And then we have the 3 pairs of earrings and 2 bracelets. It's very impressive, it really is. And there's something here for everybody. Whether you like short necklaces, long necklaces, dainty necklaces, simple necklaces like this one right here. I love this dainty bracelet. I'm definitely going to keep that one, but I'm probably going to give away the rest. Although I do like this necklace here too. But anyway, guys, I am going to show you how they look layered in a few moments. And if you have time, I'd love to hear your opinion. If you could leave some feedback down below, I'd really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great day and I'll see you next time. Bye.